Hey guys, JB here from Alpha Wolf Consulting. All right, coming to you today with another episode of Spirituality and Me. And this is episode 2. And what we're going to look at is we're going to look at understanding, well, what is spirituality? So, to understand spirituality is to understand that there is a connection with my consciousness. So not my thought process, not my emotions, but my consciousness. So the way it works is our consciousness transcends our human body. Okay? So like our consciousness is an external factor that our mind has a transmitter that picks up. Now this happens in the quantum realm through quantum microtubular, but current scientific theory is consciousness is a frequency that's transmitted into my brain, and then from that, conscious thought is created. So what we have to understand is there's a separation between my thoughts and what I think and feel, and my overall life force, my soul, my consciousness, and my conscious mind and my unconscious mind. So if we think about it like this, my conscious mind and my unconscious mind are just tools that my consciousness use to interact with the world. So for example, in my conscious mind, there is logic, reasoning, you know, numerology, so like understanding like additions, subtractions, multiplications, language, you know, all of my learned abilities and skills, how to open a door. And then in my subconscious realm or my subconscious mind, there's all of my instincts, all of my genetic memory in terms of, evolutionary memory. So like, for example, you know, just in your taste buds and my taste buds, there is so much genetic memory in terms of toxicology of plants. So what we have to understand is that in a survival situation, we're able to taste things, and our taste buds are set up in a way that sweet is typically, good and healthy, and bitter and, those really strong, pungent, negative tastes typically indicate, poison and things like that. So understanding that just means that, like, inherently in my subconscious is all the processes that have been learnt throughout, evolutionary history. Okay. And evolutionary history is generations, it's, multi generations, it's, thousands of years. Because, like, what you have to understand is, all right, take for example the First Nations in Australia. Prior to, colonization, okay, there's a specific type of fish that they would eat that for 2 weeks had to be submerged in water to leach out the toxins. How can a culture, okay, that only has, like oral traditions and things like that, and doesn't have a strong, written, you know, because you think about it, when we think about currently how we approach and deal with things and do things, okay, we think about you have to go to university, you have to do, read the textbook, this, that, and the other. You have to do this, that, and the other. When for so much of human history, it was all the experience, it was all the inherent understanding. It was leaning into understanding our connection. So, for example, our connection to nature is in our genetic memory. We understand how to hunt and how to forage, and we understand how to identify toxic things and non-toxic things. And like, you know, you can argue that so many people die from eating toxic mushrooms and all that, and you could never know if you didn't know. But the thing is when your life depends on it, and you're not arrogant and not thinking you're superior to, your environment, when you're coexisting with it, your actions are completely different, because you don't know that every action will be safe. So you have to test and measure and be cautious. So a lot of, how we interact with society and how we interact, in life and with our environment, many of us have been disconnected to our connections. And then we live a life built around a perceived framework that is false. That for me to understand the universe, I've got to go and, do astrophysics. That's not true. I just need to look up at the stars and wonder and ask and seek. Like, if I want to do anything in life, I already inherently have the knowledge. Because when we understand the consciousness, okay, that consciousness is forever while I am, breathing in this form. That consciousness is forever tethered to the collective consciousness. The collective consciousness is everything. It's God, it's the universe, it's life, it's the reason I can breathe air. The collective consciousness is the air. Like, you know, it's, the energy around from everything that is alive. It's, a collection of everything. So, like, understanding this, you also understand that tether is a connection to everyone who has ever lived. Do you understand? Anything you want in life, anything you want to do, someone throughout history has already thought and tried it multiple times. Have you ever noticed how, these great entrepreneurs have these miraculous ideas and these great inventors? Like, do you really think Nikola Tesla was coming up with all of his theories? The thing is the environment he was connected to, he was able to communicate with it to where he understood electricity and how it moves and perceived it and experienced it within himself differently to how other people did. So those who tried to imitate him can only work within a framework which is the accepted thought, whereas Nikola Tesla was working outside of that framework because he was just working with the universe live. Like most, great thinkers and inventors, like when they have their best ideas is not when they're in conscious thought. It's when they're just going about doing something and it just pops into their head. Like, to understand this is to understand two things. One is that your subconscious mind is where the large portion of your memory is stored, but also your conscious mind can process at much higher rates. And when you're not using conscious thought, you're naturally allowing your subconscious mind to process and to work. So understand this, when we're always focused and stressing and thinking about things, and we don't allow ourselves to get distracted, our conscious mind is always on. But the problem with that is our subconscious mind doesn't get the energy. So think about it like your computer, okay? If we're constantly playing a video game that takes up the majority of the CPU, the majority of the RAM, the majority of the, video and graphics settings, our computer cannot do many other tasks in the background because all background energy is being diverted. So what we have to understand is that if we turn off the game for half an hour, so much energy is going back to those, background systems that they're able to move at a quicker rate. So it's sort of like, if you think about it like this, uploading one video compared to uploading 4 videos simultaneously. If you upload 4 videos simultaneously, it'll share the upload between the 4. Whereas if you do them singularly, that one gets the majority. So it can move faster. But the second thing to understand is that, like, anything you think, okay, any thought, any emotion you feel, okay, where does that come from? Like, do you think thoughts originate in the mind, in the brain? Or do you think thoughts originate outside of your mind? Because a thought is just energy, and we are constantly projecting energy and receiving energy, or transmitting and receiving. So, like, to understand this, okay, like, even if you think a thought, like, is created with conscious, your conscious intention, how do you talk without consciously thinking of every word? So understand this: if we just talk, the words come. We don't even need to think about what it is. So how does that happen? The way that happens is the thoughts are internal and external to me. Do you understand? Like, it's a constant conversation that's running, and now I'm just verbalizing it. Like, because if you think about how we get through life, and, how we, deal and cope and interact with things, okay, a lot of us are running narratives. It's just where either it's a conscious narrative we're aware of, or it's subconscious narratives happening. So, like, for example, if I'm walking and I step on a rock, like, there'll be a narrative running of, like, what the fuck's that rock there for? You know what I mean? Like, there'll be a narrative running because I'm sort of like, depending on how you conceptualize it. If you watch a lot of movies, you will script your life like a movie. Okay? If you watch a lot of documentaries, you'll script your life like a documentary. Like, whatever your way of expressing and running your narrative. So, like, for example, for me, I've personally put a lot of conscious thought into creating specific types of narratives that run. So for me, like, the narratives that run in my mind are typically motivational speeches, or their perspectives, or their stories. So, like, for example, like, if I'm walking down the street and I step on a rock, like, I'll get the narrative of, life sucks, embrace the suck. You know what I mean? Like, the thing is however you condition, like, the thing is that your brain doesn't create your thoughts. Your conscious mind creates and dictates your thoughts to your brain. So your conscious awareness is what is in control. So if we think about it like this, right? Our conscious awareness is the driver. Our conscious side of our brain is the gas pedal and the steering wheel. Okay. Our subconscious mind is the rest of the car, the engine and everything else. So we can use our conscious mind to influence the car, or if the car's having issues and it's not working, it's going to influence our ability. So if our tires are unaligned, okay, when driving at speed on the highway, steering is going to become more difficult. Speed is going to become more difficult because there's more drag and resistance. Like different things like that. If we conceptualize it like that, then we understand that I am not this body and I am not this mind. Okay? I am more than that. These are just tools for me to be able to get through life. And when we understand that, okay, there's I'll give you an analogy. Imagine yourself being the shovel, being the axe. Okay. Now imagine yourself being the, you know, woodcutter with the axe. Okay. If you were the axe and you were blunt, there's nothing you can do. Life's just that way. You're just a blunt axe. If you were the woodcutter and your axe is blunt, you can sharpen it. You can do whatever you want to do. If you need, well, you wouldn't get a new axe, but you'd sharpen it, do whatever maintenance needed on it. Like, do you understand? When we identify this body as just being a tool, this mind as just being a tool, we're able to then fix it, to work on it. When we identify me as this body, me as this mind, I am limited to the limitations of this body and mind. So, do you see that spirituality is understanding that, like, I am not this body, I am not this mind, therefore I am something more. So, when we understand spirituality in that context, okay, that I am something more than this body, than this mind, okay, I should not live in fear of this body or mind or enslaved by this body or mind. So many people will talk about genetics and weight loss and stuff like that. It's all fucking diet. If you eat carbohydrates, which are your body's ideal fuel source, and then you eat animal fats in the same fucking meal, okay, your body uses the carbohydrates as energy and stores the fat as fat. And it's already fat, so your body's just like, good work, job done. I don't even have to do anything. If you're only eating carbohydrates, your body has to then turn those carbohydrates into fat. It's less efficient. It's more efficient for your body to turn fat into fat. Just know that. Like, everyone can say it's genetics. You can say that you are limited because your body is this, your mind is this. Know this, if you have learning disabilities, your mind is not limited. Like, if you have a specific, like, half of your brain is missing, that's a different story. You can still pull it together, but it's a different story. Just understand this. At any given time, you are using 10% of your brain's capacity. So you think someone with Down syndrome is stupid and has no capacity? Just understand they're only using 10% of their brain power. Do you get it? Like, a lot of these problems in life around education, intelligence, learning are self-created because of the narratives of others. Like, whatever you think your mind or body should be is what it will become. So let's say, you're 400 pounds, 200 kilos, and you feel a victim to your body. You feel a victim to your, current circumstances. Do whatever you can, however you can, to improve the situation. It's that simple. Like, But you have to realize, like, this body and mind is just a car. And if your car's fucked up, it's just because you're not doing the work you need to do to it and you're mistreating it. If you're putting diesel in a petrol car, you're going to fuck the engine. Like, you know what I mean? If you put petrol into a diesel car, you're going to seize the engine and die. Do you get it? So, like, if you take, let's say, fentanyl and fucking heroin, you're putting petrol into a diesel car. Like, you can kick it over, it might run for 10 minutes, you might even get to drive it down the block, but it will seize and it will destroy the engine. So, understand this, if in your life, your mind and your body are not your ideals, all it means is that you like feel victimized and trapped, and the narrative you're constructing is creating that. Because if you're 200 kilos and you're trying to lose weight, it can be the single most difficult thing you've ever tried in your life, or it can be the most effortless thing. For me, training is easy because I only consider it to be effortless regardless of what I do. Because if I always consider it to be effortless, even if it's the most exhausting, thing that I've done, the most difficult thing, like if I just keep telling myself it's effortless, that just becomes my new standard for easy. Do you get it? Like, it's the reason it's so difficult when you're so extreme, like when you're extremely overweight, is because your mind's idea of effort is so small that the smallest actions seem like the biggest. And everyone tells you and repeats the narrative to you that you're doing something that's difficult. When in fact, like, if you're walking, let's say, to your mailbox and it's a difficult thing and it's a struggle, it's like, yeah, but we just keep doing it, telling ourselves it's effortless. Soon it'll be effortless. Then we move a little bit further. Then we move a little bit further. So, like, a key thing to understand, okay, is that we don't have to tell ourselves that, we're going to run 20 Ks every day when we can only walk 100 meters. We want to make that 100 meters that's, immensely difficult, easy, and then we take it to 150. And we just keep bringing it up. And there's a point to where the effort given and the endurance and the stamina built sort of reaches the pinnacle to where your exhaustion comes down, to where now every action becomes effortless, and now we can ramp it up. So typically, if you're trying to, lose weight and you're trying to start training for the first time, you've got to understand it's about 3 to 6 months. You've got to work 3 to 6 months without feeling or seeing anything significant. But after 3 to 6 months, the amount of work that you've done, the consistent action, will shift your mind to where you'll be ready to start pushing yourself. That's the thing. So, like, when I go, a year without training and I go back into training, it's hard for me to, get in there and train because I have the bitch's mindset where I'm worried about what other people think. I'm not able to do the movements properly. I'm, on lighter weight. And that's the thing. It's all up here that is trapping you and me. It's our mind to where we constrain ourselves and we create these narratives and we create these stories and we create these perceptions. And the thing is, it's not difficult to lose weight, no matter where you are in that journey. You could be the most obese person on earth, and this could be the most effortless journey for you. Because the thing is what we truly desire is not difficult. So if I absolutely love walking, which I do, for me in a day, I can walk 40 Ks and I enjoy that. It's not difficult. It's challenging, you know, your muscles give out, your legs seize, but it's not difficult. Like it's not something that is difficult for me to pursue because once I start doing it, I enjoy it. So you got to understand this. Motivation comes after action because motivation is just reinforced positive emotion. So if I just do something every day, I'm going to enjoy, and I enjoy it every day while I'm doing that, I'm going to become highly motivated because I'm in a high state of enjoyment. Okay? So that's an important thing to understand because like it's not just weight loss. It's everything in life. If I just commit 3 months to doing something, typically my mindset will shift and I will become more confident in it. And it doesn't matter about if I get the results early on because, like, if I just keep doing it, like, that's the key. So, for example, with spirituality, if you feel disconnected from life, if you feel disconnected, from your spiritual identity, from whatever it may be, from your culture, like understand like spirituality is linked to your ancestors. So your ancestors are where did you originally come from? So for example, if you come from certain parts of Africa, you'll have different inclinations because understand our ancestors are where a lot of our genetic memory comes from. Because for thousands of years, your ancestry may have been in one region, and then in recent times, they've, dispersed out. So understanding this, for me, it's like I come from Celtic heritage. So for me, forests and mountains are important. Do you know what I mean? The rivers. Like, for me, a cool environment, you know? Like, and that's where I'm naturally drawn. If you come from, for example, like a Scandinavian culture, you'll feel more drawn to the water. Do you know what I mean? Like you'll have a draw to always being out on the water. You take First Nations cultures. If you look at all the different nations that were around Australia, you know, you would see traits in them of having different things based on the geographical and the different traditional things. Do you know what I mean? So, like, for example, most people who, their heritage lived by seas, by the seaside, they enjoy fishing. They enjoy being out on the water. You know what I mean? Whereas for me, like, I enjoy being on a boat for half an hour and then I'm off it. And then I'm done. And I'm sort of like, let's go do something. You know what I mean? Whereas in a forest, I could spend 14 hours walking around and be perfectly fine. Like, so it's sort of it's just understanding, you know, for me to understand my connection to everything, I have to understand my connection to me. So I have to understand like what am I naturally drawn to? What is, you know, like my beliefs? Because you got to understand spirituality, culture, religion, like it's all individual. We all get to choose what it means for us. The lie of society is that there are specific terms and meanings. Like, take for example, good. What's good for you might not be considerably good for me. Like I might not consider your level of good as being good. You might not consider my level of good as being good. Does that mean I cease to be good because your level's higher, or you cease to be good because my level's higher? No. Like, everything is an individual term because nothing means anything outside of it. Like, understand this, no matter, like, whoever you are in life, when you die, yeah, people will mourn, people will remember, people will celebrate your life, people will forget. Like, it doesn't matter who you are. Like, the world isn't going to stop for you. People aren't going to reincarnate you. Like, they're not going to bring you back to life. So pretty much everything that you think means something in life doesn't mean something to people outside of you. But to you, it means something. So the important thing to understand is that, like, throughout life, it's only you that is judging and grading the meaning of the actions you take. It doesn't matter what other people may think, or their opinions, or what they may feel. Like, you know, other people can think you're a failure and it doesn't matter. Like, failure is just a frame of mind. Like, you can't fail. You either give up or you succeed. Like, that's it. Like there's no external factor that just knocked you out. Like, that's the illusion of business. The reason businesses fail is because they over leverage themselves, and then they can't support their costs, and because no one actually truly wants to do the work and truly believes in the mission, no one's willing to work for free. Look at startups. You look at some of the startups where people will work 6 to 12 months without pay just because they believe in the person and the vision. Like, that's the thing. Failure is an illusion because it's not real. Like, failure is just giving up. So making a conscious choice not to pursue it. So the majority of business people and businesses around the world have, if they do not consecutively make a profit for 6 months, they give up. Like, a lot of them are, if I can't, cover this cost, I give up. If this goes against me, I give up. You know what I mean? Whereas, in the narrative they create, it's all external factors. So business is hard because there's all these external factors that can wipe you out, like the economy, like shifts in buyer sentiment. Whereas in truth, it's just they're the excuses that allow for giving up. So, like, it's important to understand that, like, other people's opinions don't mean anything. Like, take religion, for example. If I wanted to be Christian, I can be Christian. Anyone can be Christian. But should I, let's say I was gay, I can't be Christian anymore. Like, it doesn't work like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't be something and then not be something on a condition. That's not how it works. But that's how many people will make you think life works on conditions. You're either healthy or you're not. You know what I mean? You're either a good person or a bad. Like, the paradox of life is, to be healthy, you're unhealthy. To be good, you're a bad person. Like, do you get it? Like, all these fuckers that are out there telling you how virtuous and great they are, to people who they don't care about, life goes against them. Do you get it? So, like, the corruption in politics It's just that we're not getting the benefits, so we see the action as corrupt. Like, so the thing is, like, everyone has winners and losers. So it means in conversations, some conversations I'll get along with people and they'll be amazing. Some conversations I won't, and they won't be great conversations. So that person's view of me won't be as great. Like, do you get it? Like, it's a paradox because, like, you can't have one without the other. Like, it doesn't work like that. For me to be alive, I have to be dead. Because in any moment, it's a balance between life and death. You know, a plane could fall out of the sky and hit me. Like, it's a balance. You know, I could have an unbeknownst to me disease and be terminal tomorrow. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not one or the other. It's not I'm alive now and going to be dead later. Because if I live my life in fear of death, I'm living every day in death. Because I'm limiting my experience in fear of death. Many people live that way too. I could not imagine living in a way that was below what you wanted because you're in fear of something external happening to you. So, like, for example, how those people get, the fear of the outside and interacting and things like that. So then they can only ever live in their house. And then they spend, you know, 20, 30 years in their house, locked up. Like, yeah, it's just that sort of stuff's scary. And all you got to understand is it's all just in our mind. Because there's no meaning to life. There's no good and bad forces out there. And if I'm, walking along and I'm in the wrong place, there's bad forces coming and they're gonna fuck me up. Like demons coming. No, that's not true. Like there's just forces coming. They are neither good nor bad. In any situation, it's neither good nor bad. I'm walking down the street and someone mugs me and jumps me. Like it's not really anything, it just is a situation. That person understands and believes that that action is going to get them what they need or desire. They've chosen to take that action. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like that situation's happening to me. It's just sort of happening, and I'm the one that's in the spotlight that's there. So, like, we can't control the external situations. Well, you can. Like, you know, if you're worried about being mugged, drive. If you're worried about being carjacked, you know, buy bulletproof glass, buy a security system for your car that has magnetic locks so that the whole door seals simultaneously. Like, no one's getting in if that's the case. Like, bulletproof glass is like that thick. Like, you good. You know what I mean? But the thing is you can't stop or control that person from taking that decision. Like, predators will always look to prey. The only way to avoid it is to cease being prey. So take, for example, nature photography and wildlife videography. Okay, when they swim with predatory animals, the safest place is typically lower to the bottom. Because if you swim at the top, that's where the predators are looking. That's where their attention is. When you're at the bottom, you're just considered to be another predatory animal. Do you get it? Like, this is how people swim with crocodiles. They're crazy. You would never see me getting into the water with crocodiles. Like, like they either do not understand these crocodiles or they understand them too much to be that confident. Because like all a crocodile has to do in the water is decide it wants you, and you have zero advantage, even with like fins. So even if you got flippers on, like you've got nothing. Like they're able to move like 360 degrees in seconds. Their tail's that powerful that it's, you know, able to propel them like 30, 40k an hour. Like, you know what I mean? So like you wouldn't be able to move before the strike happened. But the thing is they're true predators. So like they will watch you before attacking you for up to days. So if you're underwater, maybe they watch you for hours and then bang, decide they want you. So, you know what I mean? But that's one of the things is in life, you can't stop predators, but you can create, you know, you can create actions that tell a predator that you're a predator. Do you know what I mean? And that's sort of like, you know, walking in certain ways. So like the sterner you walk, and by sterner I mean the more walk like you're prepared to get punched in the stomach. Tense your abs, puff your chest out, and walk as if you're prepared for someone to just walk up and hit you in the stomach and you're ready to fight. If you walk like that, people will leave you alone. Why? Because you're prepared to fight. If you if you if you if you walk, okay, with your muscles tensed in a fighting stance where I am prepared to fight should someone attack me by surprise, you broadcast just through your muscles and your sternness and your toneness, okay, to predatory people. Should you attack, I'm ready to fight. They're not looking for that. Other ways are, you know, you can show them, you know, you can walk and you can be observant and do a 360-degree view every 30 seconds, okay, and not scared. Like you just do a calm look around, and people you see, you look them directly in the eye, and you continue looking. And like everyone that you look at and you look in the eye, if they look in you in the eye, you just up and down, assess them for weapons, assess them for potential danger. You broadcast, I am on heightened alert, and should anyone move outside of, you know, the normal like behavioral activities of society, I will be alerted to it and I will be ready to respond. What that does is that broadcasts to a predator that there is now a boundary around you to where you know what's coming. Do you get it? Like you're broadcasting that I am alert and aware. So the first one is broadcasting that should you surprise attack me, I am ready and prepared to fight back. The second one is saying I have a sensory area where I am, you know, observant and observing my surroundings so that no one can sneak up on me. Okay. So the way we broadcast to other people our intentions is how we like help them define us. So if I'm promoting to you that I'm highly aware of my environment, you're probably going to assume, you know, that I have, you know, the ability to defend myself. Because the people who don't have the ability to defend themselves usually aren't aware of their environment. Because to become aware of your environment, you have to become willing to prepared to defend yourself. You have to have the ability. Because otherwise you wouldn't be able to go out in society because it's too high risk. So most people just ignore all of that stuff and assume that, you know, it won't happen to me and then become a victim, to society when it does, and they outsource their protection and safety to the police. Which, if the police show up in a time of need, that's great. Like, you're on the good end. If they don't, you know, like, that's just life. Like, they're just people and they can only do the best they can. Like, they can't be everywhere. And that's, one of the problems in society is we've sort of put this, like, I wouldn't say onus, but this expectation that police should be there, you know, basically as soon as something bad happens. Which the problem is then the culture for policing is trying to identify those situations. And then, a result of that is wrongly accusing people or wrongly identifying people who may or may not have been doing anything, in that action weren't doing anything, but because of the interaction, a breach was found. So it's sort of like, statistically, the police, have found if you do an RBT, okay, like if you get 100,000 drivers through, like statistically, there'll be X amount of drink drivers, X amount of drug drivers, X amount of disqualified drivers. And, it's not a bad thing, but the problem is when it's done predatory. Do you know what I mean? So, like when we're just doing it to revenue raise, so like for example, we do those RBTs on public holidays where there's double demerits and double fine, that's a little bit predatory. But I digress. But yeah, so it's sort of like in life, spirituality, like I hope you start to see and understand that, like, you're the one who determines it, you're the one who defines it. Like, whatever it means to you is what it means. Like, the same as honor, the same as honesty, the same as trust. Whatever trust means to you is what trust means. Like, the problem in life is when you try and dictate to others what trust has to mean. Like, so for example, if trust to me means, like let's say you don't cheat or steal, okay, like I'll just tell you, if you cheat and steal with me, I won't trust you. Like, that's my non-negotiable. And you have the choice to say, you know, no, I don't agree to that, or yes, I do agree to that. Just like if you say to me, these are my boundaries on this, I have the choice to say yes or no. If I say yes, then I have to uphold them. Like, do you understand? So rather than asking people to say, like, oh, please don't cheat and steal from me, it's like, no, if you cheat and steal from me, this relationship's done, it's ended. So it's sort of flipping that in life, what we ask from others. So whatever we ask for from others, people will do that to us. So if you ask people not to fuck you over, people will fuck you over. If you tell people, don't fuck me over, no one will fuck you over. Because the difference is, if I ask you, I'm identifying that to you. You're now aware of that. If I tell you, I'm letting you know the red line in the sand, that should you cross it, You know what I mean? So you now understand the boundary, and you may try to push that boundary, but like you have to realize that, like, whatever boundaries you set, okay, like, you don't have to set them meanly, but if people cross them, you have to take action. Like, if you let them cross them and then you don't take action on your boundary, they will continue to cross them. And then the next thing you know, you're a shell of a person. So just remember that boundaries are how we interact with each other. And when we ask people not to do something, we ensure that they will. So it's easier to tell people. And not in the sense of telling them like, hey, if you call me a dickhead, like, I'm gonna punch you in the face. No, it's like, hey, if you talk to me disrespectfully, like, I'm gonna get up and leave. And then if they talk to you disrespectfully, you just get up and leave. Like, when you put yourself in a situation to where you accept people to act or treat you how you do not want to be treated, you are destroying and degrading your self-worth, your ideal of self. So just understand, like, setting boundaries and enforcing boundaries is how you build self-confidence and self-worth within yourself. All right, well, you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.